Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 48 of Jordan and Drew, the Sports Crew. We're 2 episodes away from episode 50, where you'll be seeing some changes in episode 50 with the big ol' 50 trivia questions in it. I got to get on it. I have not started them yet. My name is Jordon Lawrenz, joined alongside the one and only Drew Skyberg. And Drew, very sports-packed weekend for you. Talk all about it. How was your weekend?
It was good. Yeah, a lot of good sports this weekend. I was actually in Stevens Point, so I was at a hockey game Friday night, watched them play UW South. They got the dub. The Pointers indeed did. And then Saturday, I was at a basketball game. Stevens Point was playing again against UW Platteville, so I got to see Valdor's alumni Kyle Tuma score 18 points against the Pointers and get the dub for that ranked Pioneers team. So that was a lot of fun to watch. A good D3 WIAC matchup. It's very, very underrated, Jordan. I recommend if you've not watched a Division III basketball game in Wisconsin, very competitive.
I feel like, so here's my thing about that, right? Like you sent me a picture of the hockey arena and my first thing was like, whoa, that's small. And then you counter with, well, it's super loud in here. And, I kind of like that, right? Because I go to Green Bay and they have their games at the Resch Center. That place doesn't fill up. It doesn't get anywhere near full. So even though it's D1 basketball, it's like in an empty arena, and it's kind of like I would much rather be in like that D3 setting where the gym is smaller and it's fuller. Might not seem like a college atmosphere at times, but I'm assuming you agree with me.
It was it was loud in both of the venues I was at, and I agree with that because Milwaukee plays in the Panther Arena. They don't fill that thing up.
Like the Pfizer Forum for Marquette's different, but like even like us Horizon League guys. Panther Arena, Resch Center, they don't get full. It's not the same.
There's some exceptions. Homecoming, there's some games where it gets full, and the Admirals play there, so then you can say they can fill that thing up. But yeah, certainly like a Wednesday night conference game, it's not going to be same goes with GB and the Resch Center as well. But I agree with you on that.
Yeah, so that's my take there. A good weekend overall for Mr. Skyberg, and that's what we got here, guys. Don't forget. Man, we got a busy week this week. We're going to be promoting it left and right. All of our social media platforms. Jordan Drew _sports crew on the Instagram. And we've been posting more on that EWC page, getting things up. I was posting some scores from the weekend. We'll be talking a big upset later on tomorrow. Because tomorrow, let's talk about it, Drew. You and Robert taking over the reins for a Tuesday episode, one time only. I mean, maybe it'll be more of a theme moving forward, but it won't be all the time.
Yeah, so Jordan did an excellent radio kind of segment, WMT style, I'd say, last Tuesday. Did very well. I got some good feedback on it. And then now with tomorrow, Robert and I are going to take over because we're going to go more in depth on these games with Robert and I being EWC fans. I actually was watching that brilliant Valdor's game because with hockey, it got to a blowout, 2-3 scores in the third period. So started watching some of the Valdor's brilliant game, and it was some good stuff. Was able to catch actually a lot of it. So that was some good stuff. We'll talk all about that game and the whole EWC as a whole. So I'm looking forward to it, Jordan.
Going to be a lengthier one tomorrow. Big time upset. We'll be talking about it in there, Drew and Robert. That is Facebook, where Jordan Drew the Sports Crew, as our YouTube, Jordan Drew the Sports Crew on there as well. Approaching 50 subscribers on the YouTube. So let's keep it up, guys. Get us to that 50 mark. And then Twitter, we are at JD Sports Pod. Thank you all. Jordan Law _PXP got me to 100 followers. I'm at like 102 now, I believe. So thank you all very, very much. Big accomplishment. I don't even tweet that much anymore. I just tweet like when I'm announcing, but that's dying down as well. I got 2 games left on the year, and then maybe I'll pick up a few more, but maybe not.
Baseball, then.
You got a busy
this
summer. Yes, this summer. That'll be coming up. We'll talk about.
Maybe you and Brian Norton do some softball?
I've never got asked to do a softball game or a baseball game or anything like that, but you never know. I know Brian's covered some softball in his day, so we'll have to see. But I got a Lutheran girls game on Thursday and then ships 2 weeks from Thursday, and that's all we got left. So that is that. And other than that, let's get to our shout-outs of the week. I put an S on it because we got 2 of them. Manitowoc Lincoln football players committing to play at the collegiate level. Ben Walsh, big long snapper. He's been to a ton of camps and stuff, pushing out his game. He got quite a few offers. He actually just got one on Saturday, but he's going to UW La Crosse. So I was a little thrown off by this, but Ben Walsh going to UWL, good for him, staying local, obviously, in the state of Wisconsin. And Tanner Marotic will be going to UW Stevens Point. So it was great to see two Ship football players getting to play at the next level. Sadly, it was Saturday. Brett Prangy, I saw he posted on his story that he's committing. He's making a commitment announcement tomorrow. So that would have been yesterday on Sunday, but we're recording at 5 o'clock. Nothing yet. So no Brett Prangy announcement. We'll likely have that next week for you. But overall, congratulations to these guys on committing to play in college and staying local as well. Always love to see that. Let's move on to the stats of the week. This graphic blew my mind. The most receiving yards after turning 40. There's only 3 players on this list. Jerry Rice is first, 2,169 receiving yards after the age of 40. Tom Brady is second with 6 receiving yards. And you know who's third? Brett Favre with -2. And that's the list. That is it. And this is kind of mind-blowing to see this right in front of us. But hey, that was the list, and it got a nice little laugh out of me. Greg Popovich, first coach in NBA history to reach 1,500 regular season and playoff wins. Drew, is this dude ever slowing down? When's this man going to hang it up?
Yeah, he's got some. I think he's got a few years left. He's got a younger right now Spurs team he's working with, and it's certainly not the teams he's had in the past. They're kind of mediocre, but he's got some good young players on his squad, and hopefully he can coach them up before he retires.
Hopefully, we'll have to see, obviously, Coach K, his last season. We'll be talking college basketball coming up. Before we get to the wildest stat ever, let's talk about the Packers special teams. I found this graphic. In the NFL, via the Pro Football Focus, this year the Packers were ranked 31st for special teams. Last year they were 29th. The year before they were 24th. The year before they were 32nd. The year before they were 30th. The year before that, they were 32nd. Then it gets better. In 2015 season, they were 15th. Oh, not bad. But the year before that, they were 31st. And then the year before that, they were 30th. I mean, how hard can it be to turn special teams around? Drew, I don't understand this at all.
Well, yeah, now Maurice Strayton being fired. So now Coach LaFleur is on his 3rd special teams coordinator already. And that's going to be certainly an interesting spot to fill, with the proven long-term track record of not being great. So I think the simple solution, Jordan, and I know this isn't really an ideal thing, but you're going to play some starters on special teams. It's just as simple as that.
Cooper Kupp receives punts. I mean, they do it around the league.
The 49ers, look at both teams in the NFC Championship. Both teams, really implement that. So I think that's a part of winning, because special teams is still a fundamental part of football. And that proved in the divisional round.
It's a lot more than just like the guys returning the punts and kicks as well. There's a whole lot of pieces that go into it. Let's go to our final stat. Everyone in the world has seen this on 2/2/22, February 2nd, 2022. Keep that date in mind. The Grizzlies number 22, their player.
Desmond Bane. Sorry.
Yes. I just wanted to keep the numbers, but I understand putting the name out there. He shot 22.2%, had 2 assists, 2 blocks, 2 steals, 2 personal fouls, and 2 turnovers. So number 22 did all of that on 2/2/22. This is, is this dumb luck? Did they do this on purpose? I don't understand, but this is crazy.
Yeah, Desmond Bane. I saw this right away, and I was like, wow. And, it was kind of an off night for him. 4 for 18 shooting. He's been a great player.
You can't do that on purpose, that's for sure.
But, yeah, this is one of the weirdest occurrences in NBA history, for sure. I don't...
It's great, though.
There's been some stats, crazy stat lines where like Tony Snell, put up like 0.00000.
Yes.
We've seen all those stat lines before. We've seen some of those, but this is an interesting one, to say the least.
Yeah, this is next level. What a great way to end our Stats of the Week segment. And now the date today, February 7th, 2022. We got some Super Bowls in here to round things off. But first, on this day in 1949, Joe DiMaggio became the first $100,000 a year baseball player for the Yankees. I always love throwing the money baseball ones in here just to show how much times have changed. Let's go 9 years later. On this day in 1958, the Dodgers officially became the Los Angeles Dodgers Incorporated. On this day in 1973, the first time the Rangers shut out the Islanders. 6-0 win. Interesting there between two of the earliest teams in the NHL. We'll be talking some hockey later on here. Also, this Thursday, my own hockey episode, a standalone 15, 20 minutes, maybe half hour, probably not that
2
long.
hours.
We'll see. maybe 3 hours, maybe 4 hours, talking all about the first half of the NHL season, an All-Star game. I mean, it was my first time watching most of the All-Star game. It's okay. It's not great, but Cam Talbot struggled in the championship game. Our boy from the Wild, Kirill Kaprizov, didn't do a whole lot. The skills competition, though, Drew, oh my goodness. If you have a chance to check this out, they had a fountain face-off at the Bellagio in Las Vegas where they were out on, not the ocean, but, they were out in the middle of nowhere, basically. And on the platform, they had to hit it into 4 of 5 platforms that were placed real far away on water. Obviously, they were also in Vegas themed. They played blackjack. So they were on a stand and they had life-size cards, these nice big cards, and you had to hit your stick to the puck and hit the cards to try and get 21. I mean, Pavleski, he was an absolute stud in that one. And then my favorite is the Breakaway Challenge. Basically, think of the slam dunk contest, right? And they do it in hockey. They do it, and they've got judges to score. Kirill Kaprizov, he did a tribute to Alex Ovechkin because he had COVID, wasn't able to participate in the weekend. Just, if you can see the breakout challenge, there were some of them that were so good. I'll be talking about one in depth on that episode on Thursday, but just check them out if you have the time. It'll be well worth it. On this day, 1985, New York Devils' Don Lever became the 57th NHLer to score 300 goals. So congratulations, Don. On this day, 1998, let's see, the 18th Winter Olympic Games open in Nagano, Japan. I threw this in here because we're currently going through the Winter Olympics. Do you watch the Winter Olympics a whole lot? I haven't had a chance to yet.
I have not been able to catch a lot of it because basketball's been busy. This is the busy time of year for basketball, as we know, and football.
And football, well, besides the Pro Bowl, we'll mention real quick coming up when we get to it. But otherwise, Olympic Games, I mean, the winter ones, I kind of enjoy because it's like sports you never really get to see and it's different things. But I prefer the summer ones day and night. Other than that, let's move on. On this day in 2010, one of the Super Bowls saw the Saints beat the Colts 31-17. Drew Brees gets the MVP in that one. On this day in 2016, the 50th Super Bowl sees the Broncos beat the Panthers 24-10. Von Miller wins the MVP. I'm going to be honest, I have no recollection of that Super Bowl at all.
Really? That was Cam Newton's lone one. That's that big year.
That's why I
MVP
was like,
year.
Cam Newton made it to a Super Bowl?
Yeah, it was his MVP year. You don't, yeah.
No, I don't remember that one at all. Obviously, Manning, I remember that part, but I just don't. On this day in 2021, yes, 1 year ago today was the most recent Super Bowl where the Buccaneers beat the Chiefs, dominated them. It says 31-9. Brady gets the MVP, his 7th Super Bowl win, just unreal. Hopefully, we don't have a blowout in the Super Bowl. And let's stay right on the football subject. Drew, you've got the Pro Bowl score up. I actually watched a little of it. I never watched the Pro Bowl. It's stupid. It's useless. It's touch football. They don't do anything. The announcers aren't even talking about the game. And I had it on this year, and it was just a little bit, watching some of the end. It ended up getting a little close, but man, the Pro Bowl is a joke. Like, I don't understand why you would want to go this game, how anyone can enjoy it. It's not enjoyable at all.
So as Jordan, as we see, does not really like the Pro Bowl, 41-35 win for the AFC, and
good to see it high scoring.
It was basically touch football, easy spot, and I get the idea of kind of honoring them. It's every sport is that all-star game, and this is kind of the NFL all-star game. So the idea
because they don't have an all-star break in the middle, so they got to chuck it at the end.
I will say the Pro Bowl game itself has turned into a joke these past 2 years, and I know everyone agrees. I think everyone can agree with that. But I think the skills challenge, I think that's something that needs to stay. With they do like passing to targets, the sprint stuff maybe not as cool, but I think the Pro Bowl skills challenge, I think that's still, something to add because every sport's got their own thing, and this happens to be the NFL's, but it comes at a weird time too, which you can't
that's
really
the worst part because then the guys in the Super Bowl don't get to play in the Pro Bowl, and sometimes you're not even getting the best players. Hockey, I taped the skills competition, so I could watch it after, fast forward through stuff. Same thing, they have like a fastest skater challenge, and it's like, well, I'm not trying to watch these dudes skate in 15 seconds or on the ice. You know what I mean? Like some of them should stay absolutely, but I also don't watch the NFL. I don't watch the NFL skills competition either. Like the only thing I watch is the dunk contest for the NBA, and that's it. And even that hasn't been as great these past few years.
Yeah, I think the 3-point shootout, I think that'll be fun this year because we have a chance for Bobby Portis. I don't know if you've heard.
He just had a 30-point game the other night.
We'll talk all about it Trust me, that was good. But I just want to point out how Jared from Journey to a Million was hyping up JT's big day for rushing, and he finished 3 carries, 8 yards. So
they don't run, do they? I'm assuming they just throw.
No, they just throw, and it's it's touch football, as Jordan mentioned, and yeah. But 41-35 win for the AFC. No defense played again.
No surprise.
And NFC scored 2 touchdowns in the 4th to make it a 1-score game, but couldn't get
probably
the job
scripted
done.
to get him back into it.
Probably, and some interceptions in the game, which I guess adds to it.
It makes sense though. If
Herbert threw a pick, and then Patrick Mahomes threw a pick.
Really, I still don't understand how Russell Wilson and Mac Jones are in this game.
Wilson threw 2 picks, and then Cousins doing it. Threw a pick, and then Murray threw a pick. So yeah, that leaves
everyone's throwing picks.
7
interceptions. Until they're just chucking it. They're just throwing that ball downfield just for fun. But I mean, it makes money for the NFL. They're not going to change it anytime soon. So,
yeah.
I mean, do you have any final thoughts on the Pro Bowl?
Yeah, we'll end with that. Let's go. We want the Super Bowl.
Let's do it. So a real quick Super Bowl preview, because we'll be talking about it on Journey to a Million this coming Friday. Are we going to announce the guest right now, or are we keeping it a secret?
We're keeping it a secret.
Okay. Okay. Big time guest coming up on Friday for Journey to a Million. You won't want to miss it at all. But it is here. The week is finally here. It is Super Bowl week. The Rams getting to play in their home stadium. It's only been done twice, last year and this year. It's kind of funny how that works out. The Rams at SoFi Stadium, basically getting to host the Cincinnati Bengals in the Super Bowl. Joe Burrow, that's my guy. Always has been since the LSU days. Always will be. It is so great to see Matthew Stafford in this position. And, obviously the Rams, they say they're all in. They lost a ton of their draft picks. They made their trade, Super Bowl or bust. But they made it here, and they're in front of their home fans. So at the end of the day, I think it's a win, no matter what in the season. Obviously, you want to win it all. But if you lose to this Bengals team and Joe Burrow, this story is absolutely insane. Dude gets drafted first overall and just absolutely ruptures his ACL last year, 7 weeks into the season or something like that. Somehow came back this season and was one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Sure, he had his ups and downs, but here he was, and here he is showing out in the playoffs. I'll be rooting for the Bengals, and just for fun, I have been predicting the entire time the Bengals win on a walk-off field goal from Evan McPherson.
What happened to your Cowboys winning the Super Bowl?
Well, that was just a bold prediction for the long bet.
Sorry, I just thought that was funny.
Yeah. Okay, it's funny, though, because I was going to pick the Bills, which also wouldn't have ended well. I wasn't going to pick Bengals or Rams or Packers, which are my teams.
Yeah, I'll go Rams in the Super Bowl here. I don't know. This is one of your bets of the week here, but
it's not. But we could make it one. You want to do a score prediction?
Certainly could. We might do one on the socials, but yeah, I'm gonna go Rams here, and I think the Matthew Stafford story also obviously the Joe Burrow story is great, but I just like how Matthew Stafford, is coming from where he did in Detroit with the team around him to now this, plus the Rams being all in, getting guys like Von Miller and OBJ. This is the year, and I think they're gonna pull it out.
I think they certainly have the chance to. It depends how Cam Akers and Joe Mixon do, because that's where you kind of throw it up in the air. Bengals like the run game, but Joe Mixon hasn't done a whole lot this postseason. He's had a big run here or there. Cam Akers, he has just been a machine since he came back. No idea how he's back as soon as he is, but good for him. I expect a big game out of OBJ. I mean, it also depends on who Eli Apple covers, and if he's on OBJ, I expect an even bigger day for OBJ, because Apple is just not great. And Cooper Kupp, he'll get his catches. Jamar Chase, he'll get his catches. Both quarterbacks have their targets, and I think the Rams are certainly in a great spot to win, even without Robert Woods. But, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be a great game either way. Do you think it's a shootout? I think it's like middle of the road, 20-something, 20-something.
I like the middle of the road pick.
I'll go 24-21.
Oh, okay. And you're going Bengals with that.
I'm going Bengals.
Game winner.
Yes, absolutely. Has to be.
Well, how this postseason has been, you would think it would be, ending last possession, but we saw the Super Bowl last year, like you said, 31-9. I could see, I'll go, I might up it here. This might kind of sound like a shootout, but not going for one. I'll say, 35-27.
Okay.
Rams win.
I think we could certainly see, it doesn't seem like Joe Burrow gets affected by anything, but I think we could certainly see some early nerves, start to play off for this team. They 3 and outed against the Chiefs. They had a bad first half, but
Terrible, yeah.
coach says they're a better second half team, and you got to trust Zach Taylor. And we'll see what happens. Obviously, SoFi, I'm sure it'll be filled with a bunch of Rams fans. Did you see the ticket prices for this game? I mean, this is just ungodly. Like, who is charging these prices? It's like $5,000 for one of the cheapest nosebleeds.
Yeah, when you have the home team hosting and it being in a venue in Los Angeles, right? I think that's going to really add to the value. So, and then plus last year, Tom Brady, the Bucs hosting it, that was always watching Tom Brady in a Super Bowl is like, oh my goodness, this could be his last game. Always that narrative. So that increased that. But with the Rams, and Bengals not being a big market, this game still is.
Oh, but they're a diehard fan base, and I'm sure they'll travel if they can. I was reading an article earlier in the day. There's the cheapest parking spot available on StubHub is $391. That's for parking. That's the cheapest spot. But at the Hollywood Park Casino, steps away from SoFi Stadium, they're charging $5,000 to park. $5,000 just to park. And there's some places a little further away for $4,000. And this is unreal. There was one guy who's charging $200. He lives at like a mile away, but he'll drive you to the game. So very nice gesture by him to charge $200 and then chauffeur you to the game. But it's Super Bowl Sunday, baby. It's coming up. We won't be able to talk about it next week on episode 49. However, we'll be talking about it on, is that episode 10 of Journey to a Million? The week after?
Right now, yeah. That's going to be episode 10 is next Friday. Episode 9 is this Friday, and that's with the guest to be named later, because we can't give out who it is yet. It is a surprise. Yeah, episode 10, Jordon Lawrenz then will be on, is how it's going to work. We were originally going to have him on for a preview. Hey, plans change.
Change.
So now instead of episode 9 of the journey, you'll hear him on episode 10.
Can't wait at all. I mean, it's going to be a big time week. So let's talk about real quick, just overall for the week. We've kind of been all over the place. Obviously, we've got episode 48 on Monday. Depends when you're listening to this episode. Tuesday, so tomorrow if you're listening on Monday. Tuesday, we've got Drew and Robert breaking down EWC basketball, taking a 1-week break from my roundup or breakdown like we did last week. Wednesday, it'll be episode, I lost track of how many episodes of College Athlete.
Of the College Athlete Spotlight. Seth Cash Money Mangan is going to be on to talk about his storied basketball career. It's going to be a great episode.
Coming off a little injury as well. Hopefully he's doing all right, recovering well. Thursday will be my NHL mid-season recap. And then Friday is indeed Journey to a Million, episode 9 with the guest to be named. Speaking of the NHL, let's talk about it real quick. There's just a few big announcements, right? So taking a shot at the MLB here. We have no clue what's happening this season with the MLB. But we already know what's going to happen next year for the NHL. The Winter Classic, Drew. You remember that, right? Played at Target Field. Guess where they're playing next year?
Okay. Well, is it a baseball stadium again?
It is a baseball stadium.
Is it in Chicago?
It is not in Chicago. It's going to be at Fenway Park. The second time they've held it at Fenway, and the Boston Bruins obviously will be hosting that one. They hosted in 2010. So now all these years later, they're going to get it back 13 years later. It's going to be huge. New Year's Day, Winter Classic at the one and only Fenway Park. I was there. I have dirt from Fenway Park. There won't be any dirt happening at this hockey game. We also can tell you that the Florida Panthers, after a great season this year, they're going to get to host the All-Star game next year, and also the Stadium Series for the first time ever. The Carolina Hurricanes get to play outdoors, and that will be played at the Carter Finley Stadium in Raleigh, North Carolina. So I'm guessing that's, it says right here, the home of the NC State Wolfpack. So I was going to guess like a soccer stadium, but NC State, that's nice. Nice little Stadium Series. Can't wait for hockey. Obviously, we got a big second half of the season coming up, but that's all we got here. And now let's talk about the realm of high school basketball. We're going bottoms up today. High school, college, and Bucks to round off this episode. We mentioned EWC's tomorrow. There's a big upset. We're not going to talk about it here. All we're really going to talk about is the Ships basketball, because they had two bangers, two absolutely insane games happen this past week. I was at Bayport High School this past Tuesday. Ships in Bayport, the first time these two teams met. It was 68-68, went into overtime. Gage Cornell charged into the lane. Well, Ships had the ball with a minute left. They call a timeout with 20 seconds left. With 8 seconds left to go, Gage Cornell gets fouled, charging in for a layup, misses both free throws. Game goes to overtime. Ships end up losing at the JFK Field House. They were up 19-6 early in that game. The second game was not like that. This was an entirely different game. It was at Bayport High School. It was close. Tie 31 all at the half. Then with a minute, 20 seconds left, we're tied at 64. I'm on the radio. I look over to Dan Franz. I'm like, we're in the same place we were last time. Ships held the ball, and they just didn't get a good look at all. They turned the ball over at the end of the first overtime, where they were also in the same spot, right? So 64-64, Ships aren't able, they got a bad look from Brock Peterson. He wasn't able to make it. We go to overtime. Both teams score 7 points. Ships, same spot. I think there was like 35 seconds left. They have the ball, and Spencer Wiegand's fouled out. So their big guy is out of the game at this point. Huge presence for him. Ben Wallersheim in, big time minutes, turns the ball over, trying to force a pass. Bayport misses a half-court shot. We go to a second overtime. Keep in mind, we're tied up at this point, 71-71, going into our second overtime. Ships have had 2 chances to win this game. Mattis Pierik is hot, nearly a career high. Brock Peterson and Spencer Wiegand set their career highs in this game. But when you're tied 71-71, going into your second overtime, and your leading scorer, Braden Kennedy, does not have a single point, is that not alarming? And the Ships end up losing in the second overtime, 76-75, and it's not as close as the score dictates. It was 76-72. Mattis hit a 3-pointer at the buzzer, and that was it. A 1-point loss for the Ships at Bayport, a game they absolutely should not have lost. But Drew, when's the last time you've seen a high school game go to 2 overtimes?
I'm thinking it's been a while, I think.
That's what I'm saying. You don't see this often.
We almost saw a Valor's game go into double OT last year, I believe, against Brilliant, but hey, it was decided in the first overtime. It does not happen often, like you said. But I'd listen to that end of your radio broadcast. WMTradio.com really comes in clutch when you're outside of the listening area.
A deflated loss for the Ships. Deflating is one word for it, as they lose at Bayport. And then they were at Green Bay Southwest this past Friday night in FRCC conference action. Green Bay Southwest coming into this game was 4-8, and the Ships were 4-8 as well. So this is kind of that bottom tier matchup. The Ships somehow found a way to win at the buzzer. I mean, it shouldn't have been this close in the first place, but for whatever reason, the Ships don't do well against Green Bay Southwest. They beat them 46-45 the first time around. This time they beat them 70-69. Gage Cornell with a go-away layup. I don't know how he was able to charge in and get a wide-open layup as time expired, but he did. I mean, it was barely contested. Dude just got the ball half court. I think there was 6 seconds left. He did a little crossover left to right and went up with the right and finished. Underhand layup to seal it. So great win for the Ships, but you're a long bet this week. I know you're not the biggest Ships guy, but our long bet is about the Ships because they play top-tier FRCC opponents this week. They host Ashwaubenon, who only has 1 loss in FRCC conference action, but the Ships only lost to them by 4 in their first meeting. Ashwaubenon 17-1 overall, 12-1 in FRCC conference action. They play them Tuesday, and then Friday they're at Notre Dame. Notre Dame, the only team to beat Ashwaubenon in FRCC action, 10-2 in the conference, 14-4 overall. Those 2 games for the Ships, I have counted our Super Bowl bet, so that'll be in here as well. We're doing 2 bets this week. Manitowoc Lincoln, do the Ships win over or under 0.5 games? Do they walk out with a win this week?
Under.
Absolutely.
I think under's a lock here with how, I just listened to the Ships team. I have not been able to watch some Ships basketball, but listening to what I've heard Jordan say on the air and just like looking through some stats and stuff, it's been, not really a good season here for the Ships. Kind of, disappointing, I think might be a word that's thrown out there based on how they should be performing against some of these schools, but I'll go under on that 0.5.
I was going under as well. I mean, you're playing Ashwaubenon at home, but it's also on a Tuesday, so it's not like a big-time Friday night game. I think the JFK will be packed, but it's not going to be enough for them to get the win over one of the top teams in the state, maybe? Not really, but that's another discussion. And then you've got, it's under is basically a lock, as Drew said. I think we're pretty certain that even though the Ships compete in these games, they stay in them. They don't always finish games well, and we've seen that time and time again. As I say that, after the coming off a big layup, go-ahead win. Let's talk about some college basketball that happened last Wednesday on the 2nd of February. So there was a busy night The Minnesota Wild were on the late game, started at 8:30 on TNT. The Badgers, they were playing Illinois, top 20 matchup. Marquette was playing Villanova, a late game. But once again, all these were going on at the same time. The Wild beat the Blackhawks 5-0. Great win for them. Wisconsin Badgers fall to Illinois 80-67. 22 points from Johnny Davis is not enough. Kofi Cockburn, 37 points, 12 rebounds. And the shooting of the Badgers was absolutely atrocious. At one point, they were 1 of 16 from 3, or 1 of 18 maybe. They finished the game 3 of 24 from 3. So not a good loss for the Badgers at all. And Drew, before we get to that, we'll mention it all in once. Marquette owns Villanova. Absolutely owns them. 83-73. Justin Lewis, 19-9, leads the way for this Golden Eagles team. And I am just so excited that Tyler Kolek has finally taken the ball to the hoop and actually scoring. He had 18 points in this one. He's still turning it over from time to time, but he's not always forcing the extra passes. He's actually going up and shooting. And one time he knocked down a 3 and looked over to Shaka and pointed to him. And that put a big old smile on my face. Tyler Kolek, one of my favorite players in college basketball. So, Drew, Wednesday night hoops, Badgers go down. Marquette gets another humongous win over the Wildcats.
Yeah, it was an exciting night. If you are a Marquette fan, want to see Wisconsin go down, they have struggled against big men this year, especially, Kofi Cockburn. Really,
they just don't have the height to defend them.
Yeah, Steven Crowell, and then they have some other guys, but it's been tough for Wisconsin playing defense against any big, it seems like. But even like their Penn State game, which I know we'll probably talk about as well, it has not been really that well. Johnny Davis coming off probably his worst week this year, if we look as well.
Statistically, probably.
Probably, yeah. But I just want to point out more of the Wisconsin, that the team they got going. Carter Gilmore was the other guy. Both those guys being their kind of centers, just haven't really done well defensively. It's not like you have a guy like Ethan Happ who would get you 2-3 blocks a game.
Right.
Yeah, like Tyler Wall still is also a solid piece there, but that's just one guy to keep in mind. But going back now to Marquette, big one you touched on it. Tyler Kolek scoring is a plus. Villanova did not play well again against Marquette, number 12 Villanova at the time at here now, and they beat them when they were number 11 as well. So Marquette now we're being at 24. They'll certainly be higher today when this is aired. I will throw out a number. We saw teams below, or I guess lower than them, lose. So I will
always
say,
a good sign.
Yeah, I would think we'll see them in the 18 through 20 range. Actually,
I was going to say 18 or 19.
Yeah, and I think maybe even 18 because I believe they have the most ranked wins in the country now. So
yes,
that's certainly something that you look into. They tied their record. This could be a stat of the week. They tied their single season record for most ranked wins, and look, they got some games left, so they could easily break that record. But I want to talk about now in the game how it went itself. Justin Lewis has still been settling for threes, and it's paying off for him. 4 for 5 from 3. Really don't like to see him take 5 threes a game. He's a guy who, but he's been making them, so I guess you got to be okay with it. But he's a guy you'd want maybe 3 to 5 in that range.
Yeah,
5 might be on the high end, but there's been some games where you've seen him really settle for some threes, and his bread and butter is in the post. You give him the ball in the post and just let him play some bully ball. Or even Tyler Kolek, pick and roll. That's kind of been his bread and butter. But how about Daryl Morcell? I know he fouled out in this game, Jordan, but you texted me. You said Morcell is money. So
yes,
that's a guy too.
He stepped up huge in that second half.
Yeah, you're spot on with that. Iguodaro and Prosper, both those guys have played well. How it's kind of worked is they kind of split minutes, so they each got 24 a pop. If you look at it like that, Greg Elliott didn't really play well, but that's a good sign when Greg Elliott scores only 4.
That's what I was going to say.
In 20 minutes, and you're getting the win. But that's credit to Tyler Kolek again for putting up 18 points, 5 for 13 shooting, but still getting 18, 6 assists out of him, not 6 rebounds. He had 0. That's not really his thing, but getting 18 points, 6 assists out of him is something that's big for this Marquette team. And I'm excited for how this team has been playing. But Sounds like Justin Lewis might be out Wednesday, Jordan. I don't know if you've seen that, but
I have not.
that's alarming if that's still the case. But that's kind of their next game now. Or actually, it's Tuesday. My bad. It is
UConn.
Yep, they play Tuesday night against UConn. I forgot that game. It's not the Wednesdays like the Big East. They usually do the Wednesdays and Saturdays. Right. Yeah, it's Tuesday. So my
Switching
apologies. But 5:30 p.m. FS1. RJ Cole for Connecticut. UConn is game time decision. That would be big.
Yes.
For the Golden Eagles. But that kind of wraps it up for our Golden Eagle talk. I just talking Big East standings as well, Jordan. Right now, Marquette is sitting at third, 8-4 in the conference.
No one would have thought.
But they have the most games played than Villanova because of COVID. So other teams really don't have all their games in, but it's looking good right now. With UConn being 6-4, Marquette being 8-4. If they win this game, that really will kind of like put them in that third spot right there. I don't know. It's unlikely, but maybe they can, go past Villanova. Villanova still has to play some of those. I think they have to play Providence one more time.
Yeah.
I think Providence might have this thing locked up, though, to have that one seed locked up. But the Big East tournament's what matters. We saw Georgetown last year win it. They won't this year, 0-10 in the conference.
Yeah, that Georgetown win last year was insane.
11-game losing streak right now for Patrick Ewing's team. So,
and there was just a big upset that happened in the Big East. What was that? Who was it? DePaul?
DePaul? They win? Yeah, I think it was DePaul.
It was like a very bad team beat a decent team in the Big East. I forgot what it was though.
Yeah, DePaul beat Xavier. That would have been.
Yeah, that's what it was.
69-65. I did see DePaul pulling off something. I was like, DePaul.
I don't know how they did that. I don't know where that came from, but they did at the end of the day. So we're ramping up our college basketball talk here as we head into March Madness. We'll be doing. We were just talking before we recorded about some big plans for March Madness season. A few other scores to pass your way in the world of college basketball. Last Thursday, February 3rd, the downfall of UCLA began as Arizona, the 7 seed, beat the 3 seed 76-66. I think Arizona is legit this year. I think they've got some guys. They've got a shot to go pretty far in the tournament, but I say that's the downfall of UCLA because on Saturday, 2 days ago, UCLA lost a triple overtime game to Arizona State, a 7-13 Arizona State who now plays Arizona coming up right here on Monday night, 8 o'clock Central Time. Arizona and ASU, that's obviously that fun game there. And also Kansas and Texas, a big-time Big 12 matchup. But going back to Saturday, UCLA losing 2 games in a row, very concerning. Auburn survived Georgia, 74-72. They barely kept that 1 seed intact. Purdue beat Michigan at the 4. Kentucky beat Bama. I thought Bama might possibly have a shot to knock off Kentucky, but sadly that did not happen. And then we saw Kansas absolutely demolish Baylor. This wasn't even close. 83-59. Kansas was up 12-2 to start. They were up 39-21 at the half. This Jayhawks team, my Jayhawks, are just a thing of beauty right now. I can't wait to see how they do in the tournament because they don't always do well, but hopefully they can ramp it up this year. Also on Saturday, Villanova beat UConn. Obviously, that's the Villanova team Marquette just beat, and the UConn team Marquette will be playing coming up. Michigan State, number 13 in the world. Sure, I guess that works. They lost to Rutgers, but otherwise, I mean, below a 23 Texas beat 20 Iowa State, 21 Xavier lost to DePaul, as we said there. The 25 seed in LSU lost. But the only other game we wanted to talk about was the Badgers and Penn State, 59-41. This game was 18-13 at the half. That is, dare I say, unacceptable to say the least. But a 2-point win for the Badgers. Somehow they survived, even though Johnny Davis put up 4 points. 4 points from this man, 2 of 13 shooting. Again, Badgers 6 of 21 from 3 and just 37.5% from the field. Drew, I think we can just chalk this up as a bad week for the Badgers and hopefully move on, but this is concerning if they don't change things.
Certainly concerning for this Wisconsin team with high hopes with how they've really performed this year. Hopefully, being a Marquette fan, for Wisconsin fans, though, I hope you turn around. But Marquette's been, the team.
I root for them all, baby. I love them all. I love all these teams. For Wisconsin, Kansas, and Marquette, those are my college teams. Always has been. Looking ahead in this week, though, on February 8th coming up. So tomorrow, if you're listening on Monday, Number 11, Wisconsin. Number 13, Michigan State. Obviously, numbers could be a little different, but a 6 o'clock matchup on Tuesday. Big time stuff coming up there. And that's all we really got for the world of college basketball, Drew, unless you got anything else.
I got something else, Jordan.
Okay.
I wasn't done yet. Patrick Baldwin Jr., guess what? He's back.
Oh, yes, he is.
Second game back was today or yesterday. He played Cleveland State. However, has not necessarily been exciting.
Well, he's going to take a while to get back into it.
Yeah, for Purdue, I wasn't sure if we were going to see this guy back on the court yet, but hey, then I'll be at games on Wednesday. I believe they have a game. I'll be there, and then I think they're on a homestand, so I'll be at some games. But he put up, I believe, 13 against Purdue Fort Wayne. They still got the loss. They lost both games with him there, but yeah, he finished with 13 and 32 minutes. And then he also, put up.
Oh, he's playing 32 minutes. They're not even playing unlimited at all. He's full back.
He's fully back, Jordan. 5 points, then 1 for 8 shooting today with 30 minutes. But having that guy back on the court is big for this Milwaukee team. Now they can, I think they can win some games and make a little run here maybe in the Horizon League tournament because, hey, records don't matter then. It's do or die right there. But that kind of wraps up my part of the college basketball talk.
Where's the Horizon League tournament? We should go.
It's in Indianapolis. We're not going.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's kind of far actually. But let's talk some Bucks in the world of the NBA. Second in the Central are this Bucks team right now. They're coming off a terrible loss that Drew is at 136-100 to the Nuggets, but then they end up rebounding well, 112-98 over the Wizards and 137-108 over the Trailblazers. That was a 30-point effort from Bobby Portis. Was that his career high? Had to be.
It was a season high. I don't think it was his career high.
It was not? I'll do some research while you talk about this Bucks team. I know they made a waiver move recently too. I mean, they're bulking up.
Well, yeah, a 10-day contract. Do you remember Greg Monroe when he was first on the Bucks?
Yes, I do actually.
There you go. So just to put some context here, Greg Monroe, when he signed in 2015, he was kind of like that first big free agent Milwaukee was able to bring in and it kind of proved like, hey, Milwaukee can sign people. Because Monroe, I believe, had offers from the Knicks and the Lakers, and he chose to sign with Milwaukee. So that was a big signing. And then it ended up, he had some solid years here, ended up then just working out where he was a asset, a part of a trade. So he goes down to Phoenix in that Bledsoe trade that was done by Milwaukee. And then with that, he hasn't been really, last time Monroe played in the NBA was 2018 to 2019. And now he's been back this year on some 10-day contracts. And he has looked great, Jordan. I don't know if you've seen photos of him. He is in shape. Like he is
good.
Like he's slimmed down. He just looks, because his game basically when he was first on the Bucks is like 20 years, 20 years ago, basically like center, post up game, not much else. And just your traditional center, but now he's really revamped it where now he can guard. Like we saw him against Portland. He was on some ones and twos, guarding Simons, guarding McCollum. We saw him on some guards. So I was good to see. And he was hanging in there. Ben McLemore, he was played them all very well. And with that, I kind of want to talk about how that game went. That 137-108 dub. Did you?
Bobby Portis, 38 is his career high.
I didn't think it was. So
that was in 2018. So not too long ago.
Yeah. So this Bucks game though. Give Trailblazers, some slack. Cut them some slack because they actually made some trades the day before with the Clippers. So that involved two of their starters in Powell and Covington, guy that I wanted the Bucks to get. So they really weren't full strength, and that Bledsoe was actually involved in that trade. So he was actually there last night, could not play. Dame's been out. Damian Lillard is who I'm referring to, and then Nasir Little's out for the year. Another guy I wanted the Bucks to get. But
so is it like they're playing a G League team basically?
No, they still played some. Like McCollum played, Simons played.
Oh, okay.
Justice Winslow, there was the guy part of the trade. He played. But my point is, Trailblazers not known for defense. Nurkic made a dunk. He dunked on Giannis for the game, or not for the game, but in the first quarter right away, and was kind of flexing and stuff. And then Giannis kind of went absolutely crazy. Giannis nailed they were literally sagging off Giannis like it was warm-up threes. Nobody was around him. 4 for 7 for 3. He drilled, I believe, his first 3. So he kind of let him know. He finished with 29, 9, and 6. But Giannis only needs 25 minutes, Jordan. That's how out of hand this game.
Oh, wow.
I'll go into it. They
it's like a half.
70 points in the first half. I believe it was 70-54, I think it was. Yeah. And then with that, it got out of hand. 37-21 was the third quarter, so a 16-point advantage there. So Bucks were up 30 plus, basically. And the whole fourth quarter, we saw, it was all bench players who played for the Bucks. It was Mamukelashvili, Thanasis Antetokounmpo, Semi Ojeleye got 8 minutes. Throwing out more names, Hood got 8 minutes.
Rodney
Mora
Hood
got 12. Monroe got 15 minutes. Talk about, him coming in, and just they were able to. Lindell Wigington got some minutes as well. So they played like the full quarter basically. So it was only a 3-quarter game for the Bucks, but they got back-to-back. So last night they played against the Clippers in LA. So
I was going to mention this. This upcoming schedule is kind of insane. So they played last night, right? They played Sunday night at the Clippers. So obviously they stay in LA because they play the Lakers on the 8th. That game will be on TNT. And then they're also on TNT again on the 10th. So Tuesday and Thursday, they're both on TNT playing the Lakers and the Suns. And then they've got a 3-game homestand. But like the schedule doesn't let up. They're playing the 6th, the 8th, the 10th, the 14th, the 15th, and the 17th. Very busy schedule for the Bucks, and the 14th, 15th, and 17th all at home.
Yeah, and Jordan, that Thursday game, you better watch. They play the Suns. That's going to be a game. It's
a big rematch.
If you want to watch, that's a game to watch. But
it's a late night game too.
I just want to say Bobby Portis in 24 minutes, 30 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 6 for 8 from 3. Literally wouldn't miss. He was taking heat checks, fadeaway threes in the corner. Was not missing from the left or right corner. It was absolute show the Bucks put on in Portland. So it was just such a fun game to watch. I watched the whole thing. Started at 9 p.m. Late games recently.
I love late games.
Well, a 9 p.m. game, they've been doing that at the Forum, Pfizer Forum. Marquette did that. Oh, Bucks did it first.
The Marquette one really threw me off. Like the Bucks, I can understand, like TV, scheduling it up. Yeah,
that's how it was with Marquette.
But the Marquette one, it didn't really make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, so they call it like, what is it, like Bucks in Dark or whatever? Bucks in the Dark.
The Bucks After Dark. You got to stay late to enjoy these games.
Bucks After Dark, and then they also called it Marquette After Dark, and that's what we got. And both teams won their games, so hey, it must work. Yeah, absolutely. And they're still packed stadiums. It's not like they're slacking. So that's it. Do we have anything else to round out the episode before trivia? I think we got it all, Jordan.
I think I also have to say, we might have UFC recap on Sunday. I missed the last one, but there's a pay-per-view coming up on Saturday. Israel Adesanya, Robert Whittaker, the rematch for the middleweight championship. So we might have that as long as I get to pay attention and watch everything. So those might be back coming up on Sunday. We might have a 6-episode week. Unheard of. Never been done before. But let's get right into it. Trivia time. You were 7 out of 10 last week in the general rules of hockey trivia. Now it gets a little tougher. We're talking about the NHL divisions. Are you ready? 5 questions.
I feel pretty good. I actually
Okay.
I don't know. I know my hockey divisions. I know
all right,
how structures work.
Okay. True or false then? You should be able to tell me that there are 2 conferences in the NHL. We know that. I just told you that. And they are the Northern and the Southern. Is that true or false?
Bruh, false.
Yes, it is the Eastern and the Western.
West. Yeah, that's how they all do them.
Well, you never know. Hockey might be different.
I gave you a bruh.
I know you did. That's when you know it's bad.
Yeah.
How many divisions are there in the NHL?
Okay. I think there's 4, right?
There is 4. So that is indeed correct. And I'm going to name the divisions because this comes into play for our next question. So there's the Metropolitan, the Atlantic, the Central, and the Pacific. All right. I can go over them again if you need me to.
Okay.
Which 2 of those belong to the Western Conference?
The Central.
That's one.
Read them again now.
Okay, so you got the Central, right? You got the Central. Now one more belongs to the Western Conference. Is it the Atlantic, the Pacific?
Oh, Pacific. Okay, sorry.
Yes, okay. Yes, Pacific indeed it is. I mean, you can kind of guess with these half the time, right? Metropolitan is the other division. True or false? One of those 4 divisions features teams solely from Canada.
Okay, this is where, I know it's structured, but now we're talking inside it now. See, there's enough teams where I think that's possible, but at the same time, I think that include New York. I'm gonna say false.
It is false. They are kind of mixed around in there. Now, last year when they had the COVID year and they went to 3 divisions, they had one that was all with Canada. And I know I kind of mentioned that to you a little bit, but that was COVID year. That was different. Things were switched up. All right, final question. I think you'll be able to go 5-5. What division are the Minnesota Wild in?
The Central.
Beautiful. Absolutely.
go.
Got it done. That'll lead into next week, the final bit of trivia where we talk about the Minnesota Wild. That'll probably be tough. I mean, it's a little bit of history lessons and stuff in there, but that's what we got coming up next week. You are now 12 of 15.
I'll take that. If I listen to your hockey recap, I mean, I will. So, like, when I listen to it, will I be able to? Will that help me with some of the trivia next week?
No.
No.
Not at all. No, I'm looking through it right now. I will not. So you can't. It's not a little study guide. No cheat codes in there.
Darn it.
But hey, next week coming up, Minnesota Wild, final bit of trivia before episode 50. This wraps up episode 48. We can't thank you guys enough all for listening. We got a huge week coming up. Don't forget to follow us everywhere. Jordan Drew the Sports Crew on YouTube, JD Sports Pod on Twitter, Jordan Drew _Sports Crew on Instagram, along with Jordan Drew the Sports Crew on Facebook. I'm Jordan Law _PXP on the Twitter machine. Keep me over 100 followers. Please don't unfollow now that we got to 100. And Drew, shout yourself out to run things out.
Yeah, you guys know the drill. Drew Skyberg, DrewSkyberg on all social medias.
And that'll wrap up another edition of Jordan Drew the Sports Crew, the perfect podcast for you.